Hello. Two trigger warnings at first. The first thing is, first a comment and then the two trigger warnings. I'm recording this on my iPhone. I had tried for a while, a few hours, to get my iMac situated and working so that it wouldn't um, magnify the redness in my lip. I had shaven earlier, trying to look nice, and I know I tried to shave as best I could, but I guess maybe I have sensitive skin. I don't know. Um, I guess this looks better on me. Maybe it's the camera. Maybe who knows. Two trigger warnings. I'm going to be talking about suicidal thought and depression and frustration and so forth. Um, the other trigger warning was about my appearance. Sorry about the redness and so forth, but it looks like this camera looks better. I had originally wanted to make a follow-up video to my earlier video in which I was dressed up as Samantha. Um, I had wanted to talk about the Bible and about cross-dressing and gender and so forth. Not the way many people would probably think of it or expect it. Um, I wanted to talk, for one thing, specifically about the verse in, I believe it's Deuteronomy 22:5, what the actual Hebrew translates as, because I know Hebrew pretty well. Um, I'm slower in terms of speaking it, but I know Hebrew well enough to translate and identify exactly what it says. Um, and it's more than just a man should not dress in women's clothing and women should not dress in man's clothing. There is more to it. I still want to figure out what it means because there are some words that are used, and I wonder why those particular words are used. Um, but that'll be for another video, I guess. Um, all right. I had also been eagerly anticipating my progress in terms of cross-dressing. I had made it the past few days. I made some nice progress, and um, with Valentine's Day coming up, um, I had thought some weird way, and I guess I have kind of a manipulative um, part of me. It's benign, but to dress in a provocative way for St. Valentine's Day with a window dress, like a dress showing my a window and boobs um, well placed and so forth, and talking about how lonely and so forth, and I haven't had a girlfriend, and it seems funny, but I guess it's probably the wrong thing to do in retrospect. So I guess I won't do that. But I wanted to mention some of the good things cross-dressing wise. And then I'll get to my main point because this kind of dovetails into the main point. Um, I had ordered, I ordered some new outfits, and I'm getting them together. There was a stylist I was working with. I hired. Sounds official, but I ordered some things from what she created as a lookbook, and those will probably be the only things I get, or at least for a while, because I don't plan to do like cross dress on a daily basis. It's a hobby of mine. It's like cosplay for me. Um, but I was excited about that, and I was gathering the things together, and I'm getting pretty good at it. I've been practicing my singing voice, like uh, 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 practicing vocal cords, and that got me into thinking about poetry and about singing. Um, there's a girl that I had mentioned I had known in high school, who's I've nicknamed Punky Brewster to protect her privacy, and I hadn't written poetry up until a certain time, 1994, when I started writing her poems and letters and um, so forth. And then since that kind of breakup kind of thing in 94, at the end of 94, well, I mean, not the end of 94, around graduation, around June 1994, when we were graduating high school, um, that was the last time I wrote poetry. I just stopped after that. But I noticed a lot of women get a lot of women get into singing, and RuPaul and some cross dressers and drag queens get into and as entertainers. They're naturally entertainers. They Some of them go into singing and like professionally singing. So I thought maybe that would be an interesting thing to try out, especially on YouTube. What to do with Samantha as a character. Um, I thought of some things like interviewing myself, like myself interviewing Samantha, and have a split screen thing. And I figured out how to write the questions and then write the answers and film them both separately, and then have a cut between me and myself as Samantha, two separate video files cut together, and clever things like that. Um, so um, and I had contacted some other cross dressers who are really good at getting their faces feminized, their faces to look feminized. I realized looking at my videos on YouTube, which is really helpful, that I still have a masculine face. Well, fortunately, I mean, when I'm like this, I guess I want to have a good looking, attractive, masculine featured face. But when I'm dressed as Samantha, I want to alter it, I guess, by makeup. That would be the only thing. I'm not going to go through surgery. But uh, women have more prominent cheeks. They would be more out and more plump, and the chin would be narrower. The whole jawline would be narrower. So I've looked through some YouTube videos of some pretty good cross dressers, and watching how they put their makeup on. Now I understand how um, makeup is normally done, how a woman normally puts on makeup. Um, Now's the time to figure out how cross dressers do it so as to seem to alter their features. I guess I'd been putting the contouring line right about here because naturally this is where my cheek is, and I've been putting blush up here. What I should be doing is lowering it, and putting on a brighter highlight to go all the way back. Like, I guess the highlight would go like this, and nose and so forth. I'll be studying that more, but I'd been so excited about that. Um, and then, all right, this is the main topic. Yesterday at work, I have two jobs I mentioned. There's a morning job, and then they cut my hours. That job used to be full time, and then they had to cut my hours. They cut some people out entirely, and I was fortunate enough to just have my hours cut back to 7 o'clock until 11 o'clock. So that's 5 hours, 5 days a week. And I fortunately was able to get a second job. That's 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That's usually Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. It's really unfortunate. It cuts into my weekend by having it on Sunday, and then for those other days, the evenings are shot. I would like to just go back to Monday through Friday, like 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock or 3:30 or something. Just a normal day, and that's what I want to talk about. One of the things I want to talk about. So I get a 15-minute break, so I try to cram in as much of my own stuff as I can during that 15-minute break, and it involves a lot of searching through YouTube videos. It involves answering email. It involves checking up on this and checking up on this, and that can easily eat up the 15 minutes. And then I have to go back to work, and it's very monotonous sometimes. Um, so yesterday afternoon, after I was fine before that, and then after the 15-minute break, I came back, and again, I felt this way before, but I felt very frustrated. I felt stuck in life, stuck in this what I called gutter job. I don't know if it's minimum. It's about minimum wage. It's like 11.50 an hour, something like that. Um, and I've never had a girlfriend. I've never had those kinds of experiences, um, and I haven't been able to move up into a career. And I was thinking about cross-dressing and the screenwriting scripts I've made. I mean, my stories in general, creative artwork I've made, and maybe that's my only mark that I'm going to leave in the world. Um, and I felt sad about that. I felt lonely about that, and it's unfair. Um, you know, I guess I was more emotional at the time. Um, it comes across probably in this video as very calm. I mean, I guess I was calm. At the time at work, um, I was holding in a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. Um, but I was able to hold it in for quite a bit. Um, I texted some, so now, well, then after that, I talked with a friend. So anyway, at work, I was holding it in, and this friend, this gay guy, who's a lot older, he's in his 70s. Um, I met him at Temple, and we've been friends. Um, I texted him and said that what I told you, that I feel stuck, frustrated, and I talked about the people in synagogue, and I reached out to many of them, and even though I guess they have respect for me, and they some of them, I seem to have this effect that people respect me and they think highly of me and so forth. They didn't step forward. They didn't actually do anything to help, particularly in terms of getting some kind of work for me. I mean, it's not like I wasn't trying to get work myself, but they tend to brag. Um, they tended to brag about so and so is going on this vacation, so and so has this new job, and this so and so started this, joined this company, and this so and so started this new corporation or some. And here I feel lost, and I feel held back. So I texted him periodically, and it got to a point where I stated that I couldn't talk to him about certain things, particularly girlfriends and feeling lonely and dating, because he's had this jaded view. I mean, we visited more often from 2002 roughly to 2015 or 2000. No, it would have been 2010, 2005, 2002 to about 2010. He had this jaded view of, I think, women, and as I remember it, women in general, and heterosexual relationships, and 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 the workplace. He describes it as a mean place where management, as he calls it, would worked everybody to the practically to death, and they think 20 25 hours a day. Not, I mean, he really had this jaded view, and he wanted me to work a physical labor job, so that I would get some sense of the real world. I can understand some aspects of that, but well, since then, since a number of years later, we've reconnected, and he's opened up. He's opened his eyes up, and he's. I think he would describe it as um, the pressures on him loosened. He's retired, and he's seen the world in different eyes, so forth. But I figured I still couldn't really be able to feel secure in talking with him about not being able to find a girl, not being able to find a woman, never having kissed, never, so forth and so on. And it felt like Anakin Skywalker being in the Darth Vader suit. For those of you who catch that, the meaning of that. And I texted at one point that if um, I'm concerned that if I talk to you about these things, your jaded attitude will drive me further towards suicide. And I didn't have suicidal thoughts, but I was honest and accurate about what I said, that if I talked with him about it, that he would be so down on the companies and the workplace because of his experiences, I guess, and so down on heterosexual relationships and down on women or misogyny or just dating or uh, outside of gay, like gay relationships. Outside of that, he wouldn't probably be able to understand it. He wouldn't be able to give me good advice, and he would just say how screwed up it is. And that's not something you want to hear when you're going to somebody um, wanting to give consolation, get consolation, so forth. So that wraps up quite a bit of what I wanted to say. I'm looking through here. I wrote down here, I felt a huge void um, not having had a girlfriend um, at all in my life. And I have very good attributes. I have very good attributes that my mom said were very attractive to the opposite sex. And I also figure, I understand that women can be turned off by a cross-dresser, but I, my understanding, I figured that the right woman would appreciate somebody who has like literally stepped in a woman's shoes and who can sympathize and empathize with women, and I'm artistic and I can communicate. I want to get to something else about homosexuality and gayness. In high school, there were some couples that made out in high school and in the hallways and so forth, and it just seemed obnoxious. I mean, like in your face. I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but um, I've always been heterosexual. I've identified as a man, and I'm very visually attracted to women. Um, I'm attracted to mermaids. I'm attracted to the female form. I remember the actual character of Punky Brewster in the TV show was perhaps my first crush, TV crush, and I can name women, girls in school growing up that I was attracted to. I never told them, except the one that I nicknamed Punky Brewster for the purposes of in these videos of keeping her privacy a secret. And I know I'm attracted to the female face. I'm attracted to the female voice, and the female form, and I think about sex, and I think about kissing and hands soothing the skin, all those sorts of things, and the clothing, the fashionable clothing that women wear, and so forth, and that gives you some sense, I guess, of one of my motivations for cross-dressing. Um, so, so there were two um, kids, two boys in science class in high school. I remember in like 10th grade or 11th grade, um, and gym class was rotten. Um, and I got some notion that some people would call me. They didn't call me gay outright, but they intimated, or they would make like snide. They would not even snide. Yeah, they were like remarks, not out loud, but just like remarks to me sometimes. Particularly, it was weird in gym class, and it was just rotten in general. The high school, some aspects of high school were just rotten in general. Um, and that was very much not me. And one thing about me is that I it gets under my craw when somebody pegs me or gives me some reputation for something that's not me. I mean, if I'm going to be lambasted or whatever, at least have it be accurate. Um, so so much later on, when I at Temple, when I met this guy, older guy, um, we both shared an interest in Star Trek. We both shared star. We both shared interest in general. It was nice conversation. So I would go over to his house after Temple, and I'd share a movie, and I'd introduce him to a lot of things. I taught him the beginnings of understanding Hebrew. I taught him how to see movies in a new light and how to see more aspects of movies and how to appreciate movies better. And he can tell you um, that he hit my eye. I did open his eyes to a lot of things, and I did have a very positive growth impact upon him. And right now, for the past few days, for the past week at least, he's been studying Dramatica. He bought the book about it, and he's been studying it, and I've been coaching him, and I enjoy that. And I do have this positive aspect, and with if I had a girlfriend, I'd be happy to share that with her too. Share this trait of mine with her too. I mean, this tendency to introduce people in conversation and so forth. So, um, so it bothered me that some of um, those two kids, and sometimes perhaps in gym class, they would make, they would, I've heard of other people saying that they were made fun of for being gay. I never seemed to act gay. I mean, I wasn't effeminate. I I had clean clothes. I walked to class. I mean, one class to another class. I sat by myself at lunch. I read books. I don't know what makes that gay. It makes me smart, and somebody that a woman would really appreciate getting to know, and good conversation. Just a decent person. I think there's something wrong with them. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to go further in speculation or whatever, but just something wrong with them. So I know I'm jumping the timelines a bit. I hope it's not that bad. I hope you should be able to follow. So so I was texting him last night while at work, and he got worried, and he called the police, and there was a police officer that came to my job, and I knew what was going on because he had texted, "If you don't answer me now, I'm going to call 988." So, and I was at work, so I couldn't really text often. I had to be seen. I couldn't be seen using my iPhone. I had to go back into a locker room to text a few things, and then go to calm myself down. So the police officer showed up, and he calmly asked, "Oh, where could we talk for a bit?" and I said, "Oh, the locker room is over there." And we went over there, and then he asked, he talked about why he was there, and that this friend of mine had told him some things. So I answered yes, and I don't have suicidal thoughts, and I just needed some time to calm down, and I was feeling very frustrated. And he asked if I would like some drive to the hospital, and I said no. In fact, I wanted to get something afterwards, and I feel fine. So I came home, and I felt the decent thing to do would be to call my friend back, and I thanked him for looking out for my well-being. I'm that kind of a person. So we talked for a long while, and I called in sick today from my morning job, just because I had these thoughts and I wanted to create this video, and I'd been through something yesterday, and I just wanted time off, and I have some time allocated for time off, fortunately. Um, so we talked.